Hello and welcome to the Udyc debate Youth Cup 2021. Thank you to all the lecturers, students, and supporters for being here today. My name is Natasha and I will be your chairperson and timekeeper for this session. Today's session will be adjudicated by Taki, Balkis, and Is. We are going to start with the second round of the preliminary rounds by reading the motion. The motion for this debate is this House regrets the trend of placing self-destructive or antisocial characters as protagonists in media, example BoJack Horseman, Rick and Morty, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, and Mad Men. The members of the government side representing Udyc BMI are Mardia as the Prime Minister, Alia as the Deputy Prime Minister, and Imran as the government whip. The reply speech from the government side will be given by Imran. The members of the opposition side representing Udyc RCMP are Maisara as Leader of Opposition, Nadia as the Deputy Leader of Opposition, and Shahira as the Opposition Whip. The reply speech from the opposition side will be given by Nadia. Before we begin, I will briefly explain the rules. Each of the main speeches is 7 minutes long. The first and last minute of each of these speeches is known as protected time, which means that no point of information or POI may be asked by the opposing bench. The reply speeches are 4 minutes long and are entirely protected from POIs. As the timekeeper, I will mark the opening and closing of protected time with a single bang or clap at or clap once at 1 minute and a second time at 6 minutes. I will also indicate that a speaker time is up with a double bang. If a speaker continues for a further 15 seconds, the indicator will start with a triple bang, and thereafter continuously until the speaker stops. The indicator for the reply speech will start as single bang at 3rd minute, double bang at 4th minute. If the speaker continues for further 50 seconds, the indicator will start with a triple bang, and thereafter continuously until the speaker stops. Could I also politely ask the phone be switched off for the duration of each debate? If you wish to use your phone, please mute your mic and switch off your video to respect the ongoing session. Participants, you will have a 10-minute grace period if you are disconnected. Please continue your speech during that period. We will move on to the next speaker if you have failed to reconnect after the grace period. So, without further ado, please join me in welcoming the first speaker of the debate, the Prime Minister, to the floor to open the debate.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Can you?
you are stuck.
Okay. Oh my God. Okay. Thank you to the mistress of the ceremony. Good morning, ladies. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for this opportunity, a chance for us to give our speech on this beautiful day. So, before I begin with my speech, I would like to give our motion today, which is this House regrets the trend of placing self-destructive antisocial characters as protagonists. As a first speaker, I will define this motion as trend. As we all know, it is a general tendency or course of events that become a main topic. Self-destructive behavior that is harmful or potentially harmful towards the person who engages in this particular behavior. For example, anxiety, depression, and schizophrenia. Antisocial means unwilling or unable to associate in a normal or friendly way with other people. Protagonist is a main character of one story. And last but not least, media is a platform where people can communicate easily. This whole definition can be defined as we, as a government team, strongly support this motion where we regret that this kind of main topic that has become a tendency where someone who has potential to harm themselves become the main character in one story, especially in a platform where we can communicate easily. Before I begin with my point, I would like to introduce our team split. My name is Mardia Tool as the first speaker will deliver my speech on self-concept, and Alia as our second speaker will talk about antisocial personality disorder, and last but not least, our fierce third speaker, Imran, will whip out every speeches from the opposition team. Now, I will begin with my speech with my point, self-concept. We have seen some other things that human beings have complex and well-developed self-concepts and that they generally attempt to view themselves positively. These more cognitive and affective aspects of ourselves do not, of course, occur in a vacuum. They are heavily influenced by the social forces that surround us. We have alluded to some of these forces already. For example, in our review of self-verification theory, we saw how feedback from others can affect our self-concept and esteem. We also look at ways that our socio-cultural backgrounds can affect the content of our self-concept, which sometimes is just a hallucination. Psychologically disturbed and mentally ill characters are a staple of Hollywood dramas, Hollywood movies. It doesn't matter, either it's a Hollywood, Bollywood, or Malay dramas, Malay movies, or any Asian kind of medias, while screenwriters can occasionally be quite perceptive about human psychology and family functioning. Much of the time, their creations do not correspond very well with the behavior of actual people who come to see therapists and psychiatrists for treatment. Sometimes screenwriters are in fact utterly clueless. I can say sometimes the directors, the movie makers, the program makers don't even know. They don't even have any clue about um, what is self-destructive means. I will give some example why this trend should not be continued. Give me a second. Okay. Uh, in A Beautiful Mind, a 2001 movie, a Hollywood movie to be particular, a patient with schizophrenia is seen being honored. I mean, being hounded by several characters with distinct, complex, and unchanging personalities, and who always look the same. They turn out to be delusional creations, which means it doesn't even fit what is schizophrenia means. Psychotic delusions in schizophrenia are never even close to being that complex and static. So I can say that this kind of trend can be a major problem to those who are actually suffer from this illness. It can be misunderstanding, and other people can get like a wrong information by watching this kind of movie. I won't say that the whole movie is wrong, but um, I can say that it is a very, it is a very, it is a, it is not a good thing to happen. One, because not all what has been portrayed in the movie is actually accurate, and it can become a catalyst for patient to get worsened. And second, other people can get misunderstood with someone who have this illness, which can dirty views that is not supposed to taint. So I guess that is all from me. Thank you.
Thank you for that speech. Now, please welcome the first speaker of the opposition, the leader of opposition, to open the case for their side.
Okay, today why we don't regret this motion, because with the current status quo we can see the people that have many social issue, antisocial issue, just self-destructive problem, which actually increasing in our country. We can see that more of them are isolate themselves, like to be likely to be alone with themselves, because they think that society can ever accept them to be in this country. Society like don't even care about them. So that was my characterize of this motion today. Um so I'm moving on my argument today. So from this character of the protagonist character, I'm surely that it will be able led to the people out there is that learns a lot, that they are not alone. They can see themselves in the protagonist character, as you can sometimes like actually we can see that this motions like entitlement entertainment in a movie, in the films and everything. So if one day there are the person that have there are person that a problem with antisocial, isolate themselves and love to be alone, and one day they open the television and they watch a movie that seems like okay, oh, there's the character, the protagonist characters. It was the main character. They was same has same manners, same negative sides like me. So actually, I'm not alone. I have some things that I can be learned. It's because we all know that every movie has their their every movies that we can know that every movie has some things that they want to the audience be able to learn. It means that they want to the audience gain something. It was a good, I mean like the positive thing that audience will learn. So it is someone's like is someone that have the problem with the social issue with since that the protagonist character just the mirror of themselves. Means like, oh, I think if at the end, if I watch the movie, at the end of the movie I will learn something, I need to change myself. Actually my manners is the bad one. So I just want to specifically define that this kind of protagonist is not totally the bad influence to people out there. It's actually the led to people to be able to learn that they are not alone. They have society that support them. They have society that actually can understand their problem. Everyone's that do problem actually don't even realize what they did. Don't even understand why I do the problem. Why I have this problem actually. So the entertainment platform actually can is the only good way, that the only good way to communicate with them, the only way to we can see through all, we can show them that um they can make the they can show them that with the because the facing, we can show that the problem that facing is not end of their the facing is not end of the day. The facing the problem that they see, the problem that they're facing is not actually can't be solved. So when people watch the protagonist character, probably they will feel, oh, the protagonist character I feel that I see myself in that protagonist character. So show this so it show that the protagonist character actually the move and the also of the movie also the it also does solve the conflicts that we solve the conflict that people have, the antisocials, as the problems that society hates, the problem that self destructs is problem and everything. So based on the stakeholder of this motion, that which know that the people that feel alone, that people that maybe they think that before they consult their secretary, or even the people that have the problem, they even don't think to want to they're even scared to see themselves with if they're even scared to have a better consult with the secretary, because they think that they will think that the secretary even like see themselves in a bad way. They say so maybe like they're ashamed of themselves, something like that. So as from analysis that we can know our country actually have already did something good. I mean like um we can see the movie of Suicide Squad. The protagonist characters that which is not a hero, but we can actually see that the not the really hero like Batman, Superman, everything like that actually can be hero. It's the protagonist like Harley Quinn and everything. It's a bad person in every movie like, but most of people like their character the most. They think that, oh, actually Harley Quinn is the kind one. I learned something that there can be a hero. Every people in this world actually is the kind person, but the way we understand people, how the way we go get close to them, um the way that we know them better, actually our that's with the problem right now. The problem that we don't even understand we don't understand the stakeholder problem. So as a leader position, I really support this motion, because we actually think that the people that having antisocial problem, that have self-destructive problem, actually can solve their problem better, because this kind of protagonist character actually make them get close, make them macam, oh, actually actually they have a do people that understand my situation right now. Um so by the end the story character surely have some things that something that the wiser than they're trying to tell us, they're trying to tell the audience. However, more important still than protagonist, let the audience learn something that been experienced, means like they learn the curve of the reality of life, they learn of the how they learn the survive of their life. So the protagonist character is the struggle more to make the movie become interested on everything. So it's not wrong to let the protagonist character be the ones that like be able to teach people the right way. Is not be able to teach people how they can consult themselves. It's not wrong to be a parent, but need to learn and change yourself in the future. So I really oppose the government side is that they said this kind of motion will give it a bad influence. So thank you.
I would like to thank the speaker for the speech and welcome the second speaker of the government, the Deputy Prime Minister, to continue the case for their side.
Thank you, Chairperson and opposition teams. A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm as a second speaker for government team will provide the first point for this matter. And before I do the rebuttal, answer the rebuttal from the opposition teams, I'm going to present about my first point. Okay, for the first point of argument, this matter is likely to be the trend, especially for those who have mental health like antisocial personality disorder or ASPD, which is they have a family background about this. In popular culture, people with ASPD are often referred to as sociopaths, a term that conjures up images of mass murderers or creepy like certain character protagonists in film movie. It can impact them. American Psychiatric Association (APA) does not refer to people with ASPD as a sociopath, nor does it equate the two terms. Personality disorders are conditions involving long-term pattern where a person's feelings, self-perception, and behavior stray substantially from their society and culture. An estimate 9% of US adults have a personality disorder diagnosis. According to National Institute of Mental Health, an estimate 3.6 to 4.3% of people in the United States have the mental health condition known as antisocial personality disorder, according to research published in the Journal of Clinical Psychiatry. A defining trait of antisocial personality disorder is a lack of empathy and disregard for others generally. A person with antisocial personality disorder has little concern for other people, is willing to violate their rights. They usually have no respect for social norms and laws and may believe they are above the law. They will frequently lie, manipulate other people, and may risk their health and lives of other people. And they do not feel any guilt or remorse for these actions based on the APA. And about the rebuttals, for me, not everyone with the sad caution or mental health will look at it at the positive side. Like they will take that as an idea to do the self-harm because it looks like they can calm by doing that. And they will thought that their life is something like in the media, such as the film with the protagonist who having a mental health, and they will and they will think do the isolate or something like self-harm will calm down. So basically, isolate is one of their way to reduce the stressful life, and it's not really good for them isolate without rich helps from others. Based on all the data for percentage in APA, we know that putting character protagonist as someone who suffer from mental health like ASPD is not really relevant because it can impact on everybody who suffer it, and they mostly keep it alone they suffer and everyone barely know them suffer that, and it can impact on their life because no one really know about them and they don't even notice they the person have symptoms for ASPD. And for the government, it's really regrets to hear about this matter really trend in the media social days now. So the conclusion for government is um, film with protagonists who have suffered from mental health is not really relevant to show it in media because it can impact on person who suffer from the mental health such as ASPD. So that's all from me. Thank you.
I would like to thank the speaker for their remarks. I welcome the second speaker of the opposition, the deputy leader of opposition, to continue the debate for their side.
Can I request to not open my camera because my line is not that good? So you can.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, our motion today is clear. The House regret the trend of placing self-destructive and or anti-social characters as protagonists in media. We from the opposition does not regret this motion because we don't regret placing this type of characters, self-destructive characters, in media. Because like from what my leader opposition had said, it it promotes the idea that this self-destructive a person with self-destructive characteristic or antisocial characters, they are not alone in this world. It shows that we acknowledge them in this world. So from what the but before a little bit more about that and my argument, we'll take a look back what the Prime Minister said. Prime Minister said that these kind of characters as protagonists in media can actually bring a misconception towards a person that actually have this kind of characteristic, have suffered mental health issues such as depression, antisocial and stuff. But then this can actually be avoided if the government um, if the government provide a line or a condition before releasing this type of movie, because this type of movie promotes knowledge to us. It will be such a regret to actually not promoting this knowledge, not promoting that we understand not promoting the idea that this kind of person, the person that suffers from mental health, they are not alone. It helps them. So, and then the deputy prime minister, okay, the deputy prime minister keep splitting like facts, but then never actually stated why they regrets why we regret placing self-destructive and antisocial characters in media. Yes, there are more people having mental health. That is why we place this characteristic as protagonists in media. Because, first of all, this type of protagonists portray the reality that happened. People nowadays need to know that a lot of person are suffering. A lot of person are antisocial. A lot of person have this destructive characteristic. So the people of the country need to realize that these people exist. So placing self-destructive and antisocial characteristic in media is one of the way to actually tell people that they exist and we can't actually leave them alone. We need to actually understand them. We need to actually help them too. Moving on to my argument. First of all, is by placing the self-destructive and antisocial characters as protagonists in media, we actually create more knowledge and empathy towards the people of the country, for the people of the country, because these people are the person that suffers this mental health issue exists. So people of the country can actually benefit when they watch this kind of movie. They can actually learn. Oh, I have a friend that act like that. Oh, might be she have problem. So they can actually make the first step to actually help their friends, help their family, help people around them, and end up being empathy with them, understanding that it's not easy when you are suffering suffering mental health, when you have antisocial characters. They can't help themselves sometimes. They need help. So this kind of media promotes that. My second argument is this kind of media also help the vulnerable stakeholder, which is a person that have this kind of characteristic, self-destructive and antisocial characteristic, to become a better person in future. Because from watching the movie, they might not realize that they are actually suffering. So when they realize, they know like, oh, I need help. Oh, I can get help. So, and then it also promotes their self-confidence that, oh, it's okay, I'm not alone. I just need help. I need someone to help me too. And when we portray it as protagonists, it shows that they can actually be better. Because at the end of the day, the protagonist in any movie gonna be a better person, gonna live their life happily. But then, the worst case scenario, if we keep going creating a movie with perfect protagonists, is that it can create a toxicity in our world, where everyone living in this kind of toxicity, where, oh, I need to be that perfect, where when it is wrong, no one is perfect. So this is why we need to actually reduce the amount of perfect protagonists, and actually for placing self-destructive antisocial characters in protagonists in media to show that in reality no one is perfect. In reality, there are someone that are just like them. So, my other, in addition that these kind of characters, when they relate too much with they relate with the public more, they can actually increase the production from the entertainment company, because people find it fascinating, people find it interesting because they can relate to it. Okay, because more and more people have mental health nowadays, so they want to see like a protagonist that that can actually relate to them, because we keep growing making them a villain when we can make them a protagonist, we can make them the main character of their own life. That is why I think uh, we from the opposition do not get the trend of placing self-destructive and antisocial characters as protagonists in media, because it helps the stakeholder and it also promotes empathy to the people of the country. Thank you.
Now, let us welcome the government whip to summarize the debate for the government side.
Right, thank you, timekeeper and chairperson. Right, for my perspective, for government's perspective, from the Prime Minister state, this concept of showing the self-destructive of a person inside the media, such as we can call that ex-girlfriend or madman and so on. It portrays that people should more be aware and awareness regarding the trouble that they have, right? So the second point is about from the deputy government, that every from our own perspective, every character of every protagonist have their own problem, such as family problem, PTSD problem, and so on. So they occur regarding from that problem. The personality may change from time to time. And so next is about we'll talk about the we point my first point is there are so many platforms that people who have in this illness, such as we just talk for this, to seek help. And in this modern area, there are so many clubs, such as clubs, group, and society build their circle, so they can share their own problem and of course by helping them. So the media is not only the platform that we can learn from time to time. There are real people in real life, so we can learn from their own experience, or have their own thoughts, or any their own tips and tricks to overcome the situation. And also that I want to add, of course, it won't be as easy as it should be, but it represent a big journey. It begins with the first step. So that I want to add. So someone who has self-destructive illness as main character and turns out to be the media doesn't portray it correctly. Maybe some of the story writer or the producer make exaggerating moments. Yes, maybe we can agree that exaggerating moment is more what we call that, easier to understand, but it's easier to understand when We facing out. We're not running away from the problem. We confront. We confront the problem to overcome the illness or anything. Right. So last is, and remember, not sorry, and remember, not other people have their same point of view. Some people have their own tendency to make fun of those who have their own problem, which is make them feel worse. This is the most discouraging thing to do for those who have facing this problem, because by doing so, people will make joke of the problem, and just like previous state that we do not acknowledge this problem to overcome it. So by doing this charity or doing this the confronting, such as inside the club or inside the media, such as uh, sorry such as group activities, we can confront from other people's perspective, not from only the movies or only the cartoons or anything, something like that. So the last I want to add about is people who have this problem. What other people see them affected them greatly, either is positive or negative. We wish to, of course, I wish to gain the positive side. So um, so for my perspective, for the government's perspective, this is we are clearly regret why we should portray the negative sides from others' character to what we call that, to show to people. Yes, maybe some of us agree that by doing so, we can relate to certain types of character. But in the hindsight, the character maybe have their own family problems, and we just maybe just a little misunderstanding with our own family, and we exaggerate the problem. Maybe we got to self-harm ourselves by doing, I don't know, something dangerous. So that is the bad. But that is why the government is regret to portray the negativity inside the media. So that is all from me. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Government Whip. Please welcome the Opposition Whip to sum up for the opposition team.
All right. Can you give me a minute?
Yeah, sure.
I prefer my PRI to be just open your mind and just speak out your PRI, all right? So, start my speech in three. Sorry. Okay, start my speech in 3, 2, 1. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of things that the government actually confused into this debate, because this debate was supposed to the government is supposed to tell us why does they regret this movie to be this series, this media to portray those protagonists. So they do not tell us why they regret. So, ladies and gentlemen, the only thing that come out from the government side is they say that about misconception, wrong information by watching this kind of movie, and they can actually romanticizing this behavior. So So, ladies and gentlemen, misconception, wrong information. I guess the government side didn't watch any series, any movie that actually portray this character, because of why? These movies and these series actually consult people that are expert in that area, so that they can make a great series and great movies that can really portray what the reality of this happening. And this actually, we can actually prevent this thing from happening, this misconception, the misinformation that can happen by creating I mean that we already have the government sector that actually take care of this movie and series. Maybe they can add more something to their law, so that they can actually cannot portray something that really away from the main thing, the main concept that these people should portray. Okay, so that's one thing that can actually bunk all their the points that they're given about misconception. And the second one is they say about romanticizing this behavior, meaning that people that watch this movie, right, will follow what this movie portray. But no, ladies and gentlemen, because at the end of every movie, at the end of every series that have, we're going to show this protagonist, right? At first, they become a very bad character, meaning that they become a character that are like starting to have this illness or starting to have the antisocial character. But at the end of the movie, they'll portray that this kind of people can actually improve. This kind of people can have a quality of life, can work like other people, and they can survive in this world. So that's what these movies and this series are actually portraying in this current status quo, and that is what the government failed to acknowledge into the debate. So I believe that with that rebutting points that I've told to you guys, bunk everything that they say on their side, because all they say is all about that. So so moving on to, like, let me summarize what our side actually talk about in this debate. So our side talk about when we actually not regretting this motion, right? Meaning that not regretting this motion, we can actually portray the reality of what happening in this current world. Because what we don't want to live in a sunshine. We're not a Barbie. We're not living in a Barbie world. We're not living in a fairy tale world, which is everything seems so good, seems so lovely, but that's not happening in current world, ladies and gentlemen. So the reality, we have to promote the reality of what happening in this current world, because that's what people want to watch as well. People like it's okay not to be okay, a K-drama that a lot of people watching, and the protagonist of that drama is actually a person that have this some sort of anti-social skills and everything. So that's what we see, and at the end of the series, this protagonist actually becomes someone that are better. So we believe that, moving on to this second argument, like, they help the vulnerable stakeholder. Why is it help the vulnerable stakeholder? Because this vulnerable stakeholder, right, this very, very vulnerable stakeholder feel like alone. They are suffering alone. Like what the DPM from the government side actually talk about, these people are suffering alone. Yes, I agree, we are mutually exclusive on that, because these people are suffering alone. So that is why this movie and series is actually needed, and this current status quo is relevant in this current status quo to actually portray this kind of these two people, so that they see that they're not alone, and they see that how they're going to get help, and what help that they need to become a better person. So this is what being portrayed in this movie, in this media, in this series. So that is why that is why we don't want to regret, and we should not regret as a good government. And if we were the government, the opposition is the government, we will not regret that. All right, okay. And then the vulnerable stakeholder, because the vulnerable stakeholder are people that really, really suffer alone. So with the movie, they will help these people to actually improve themselves and provide. And then what my DRO said, she said about providing knowledge and exposure. Why provide knowledge and exposure to who? To whom? To actually to people of the country. Because ladies and gentlemen, now in the old days where these movies are not here, people don't know what is schizophrenia. People don't know what is this antisocial illness. Is it even exist in the current world? People don't know ASPD. What is ASPD? But right now, people already know about this thing because of this movie, ladies and gentlemen. So that's why these movies, right, this trend, right, give a lot of benefit to the stakeholder, to many stakeholders, to the people that actually suffer from this, and to the people of the country, and also the government. Because at the end of the day, it will produce a generation where lots of knowledge on this. Because right now, not just people that have a medicine background can actually know about this illness, about the ASPD, about this mental illness and everything, but everyone can know because of this television movies, ladies and gentlemen. Because this producer, right, they do not produce the movie just on what they see. They do produce the movie based on what the experts say to them. So we believe that in order to actually we believe that this movie can actually provide this thing to them and can produce a better generation, a better world for people of the country. So, ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to tell you why is it in our way it's better to not regret this in the current score right now. First, we show you why we don't have to regret. With the things that I portray, the reality, help vulnerable stakeholder, providing knowledge and exposure to people of the country. So this thing, right, we can see why we should not regret. So because this can actually bring a lot of benefit to people of the country, a lot of benefit to every level, every stage of people of the country. And let me wait. We knew that a perfect character, what the governments are trying to promote, and versus the anti versus for the project for this anti-social thing. So which can actually benefit to the people of the country more. Like what my dear O say, it can actually where you only portray the perfect character, meaning that only a perfect girl. I need to be really rich. I need to be successful in order to be happy. But that's not the thing. So this is why my DO said that this can actually affect the stakeholder. It can give a toxicity, toxicity to this people to everyone in the country as well. Because when you keep on portraying those perfect, only portraying the perfect image, doesn't have a variation of those this vulnerable stakeholder that we're trying to talk about in this debate, you will promote a toxicity in this life of these people. So that's why, ladies and gentlemen, I strongly believe that if we don't regret this trip, will be much better for the people country, for everyone in this world. All right. So with that, I've never been this proud to propose. Thank you.
I would like to thank the speakers for all their speeches. Now, let's give the government and opposition side 5 minutes to prepare for the reply speech. Please be aware that the reply speech will be 4 minutes and no POI is allowed. Let us welcome the representative from the opposition side for the reply speech.
Ladies and gentlemen, so ladies and gentlemen, we from the opposition side are clear as the day why we do not regret the trend of placing self-destructive and antisocial characters in media. Because by placing self-destructive and antisocial characters in media, we can actually promote more knowledge to the people of the country about this problem in our societies, because a lot of people are not knowledgeable enough, they don't realize that this kind of people exist, they um that they matters, that actually it's a really big problem. So we opposition had already stated that we do not regret the trend of placing self-destructive and antisocial characters in media, because it provides more knowledge. It provides the people of the country so that they can help these characters, the person that have this characteristic in their daily life. They can help their friends that have this characteristic, because sometimes they don't realize their own friend, their own family have this problem. So, and it then can help. It also can help the vulnerable stakeholder, the vulnerable person that have this characteristic, that have self-destructive mental issues, to be a better person. It promotes, it shows that they can be better in future, that they can get help, that they and sometimes a lot of them doesn't even know that they need help. So this kind of media are needed in our world nowadays, because to show to these people that you need help, please get help. So, and promote it also show that the people that have self-destructive characteristic and also antisocial characteristic, that they aren't alone in this world. There are a lot of people like them. They are worth more. They worth more than they thought. They are also the main character of their life, because some these kind of people always felt that I'm alone. I have a lot of problems. No one can help me. But then when we portray this kind of characters in media as a protagonist, it shows that, oh, I can be the main character too. I can be better. That I'm not alone. There are much more people like me, and they also can get help as me. From the government, they said about misconception that can occur and stuff. That it can we can always provide solution to that. We can always provide guidelines. The government can actually providing guidelines. And then just imagine, if we keep going portrays this kind of characters in as protagonists in media, it will also lead to to a country with more knowledge, with less mental health issue, because we can help each other. We can realize others' problem too, and doesn't disregard their problem, like a simple problem, just because it's a simple, so that it's not lead to mental health issue. So I never actually been more proud to actually oppose the motion that the house will get of placing self-destructive antisocial characters, because it was needed in this world nowadays with the current issues. Thank you.
Thank you for the speech. Now let us welcome the last speaker for today's debate to give the reply speech for the government side.
Can I?
Who's going to be the give reply speech from government side?
I'm going to do the reply for the government teams.
Who is it? Shahira or Please your
DPM
name?
Alia.
Alia. I cannot see. Wait, TPM. Oh, this one. Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay.
Okay. First of all, thank you, opposition teams. And of course, it can help them, but you have to understand for friends to help them, those who suffers from this illness, it is not easy for them to open up just because your friends saw something from a movie. Don't you know that people with trust issue, especially in this kind of world, there are so many people who are so judgmental. There are many people who suffers they do not find their friends or even family members, and yes, all the percentage is just a fact, but the fact is based on reality that happened actually. And the media contribute to mental illness stigma through the exaggerate, inaccurate, and comical image. They used to portray persons with psychiatric disorder as well as providing incorrect information about mental illness. Two mass communication theories, cultivation theory and social learning theory, work in tandem to influence the construction and perpetuation of mental illness stigma. Cultivation theory proposes that those who spend more time living in the visual world of television may perceive the real world as per the imagery principles and portrayal depicted on the small screen. People who spend a lot of time watching televisions are likely to assume a television worldview of mental illness. And in clinical perspective or side, the term of schizophrenia, or I don't really know how to spell it, was first used in 1911 by a Swiss psychiatrist. It comes from the Greek root psycho, spirit, and friend mind. These psychiatrists use this name to emphasize the mental confusion and fragmented thinking characteristic of people with the illness. His term was not meant to convey the idea of an actual split or multiple personality. This confusion has, however, become a common and rather entrenched myth regarding this method that continues to this day. And based on the clinical side, as we know, the professional one will tell them to open up the whole story why they become like this. And I don't think so they will uh, give give some people who suffer from this to watch a television or something to figure out their problems and solve them. So from we government also regrets that several media doesn't care about that and just want to make a movie with a huge popularity, but based on example of someone with mental health, and it makes most of them be triggered. So that's all. Thank you.
With that, the debate for this round has ended. Let us give the educators some time to discuss this round result. The educators may move to their respective room. I ask the participant to please remain in this room.
Hi. My team is actually at the backstage. Can you add them inside?
Sekejap eh.
All right, thank you.
Welcome. Oh, alright.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Lucky. I'm the judge. Please ignore the background noise. My house currently is undergoing a few renovations. Um, thank you so much for the debate, first and foremost. Here is I'm going to give my OA. I don't think I will have any general comments. I'll go straight to the verdict, and after that, I'll justify my verdict. All right. It was a unanimous decision after my two other panelists also have given me their verdict. It was a unanimous decision. We gave it to side opposition for a few reasons. The first reason that we identified was that how does necessarily number one, these protagonists who are antisocial and self-destructive is being portrayed in social media? Because I think the way this motion is worded, so it's obviously in reference to a lot of pop culture reference. That means it is reference to what you see in TVs, what you read, or what are the trends currently of people, or what do people construe as being self-destructive and antisocial. So this debate largely stems around the discussion of whether or not a protagonist should have the character of being self-destructive and antisocial. So from government, they suggested a few things. They said that these are actually individuals who are individuals going through a lot of stuff. So things, for example, going through mental illness or going through instances that, for example, the myriads of examples of mental illness that was suggested by government side. The way opposition chose to engage with this was to suggest that it is true that these people are going through mental illness, or perhaps these characters are multifaceted in a way whereby they have a lot of layers within their personality. But in order for us to make them a protagonist means that we understand them better, and it shows society that these are also human beings as well, and would therefore warrant some form of acceptance by the society as a whole. So although it was not mentioned outrightly like this, but it was the gist of what side opposition did argue. So if I were to accept that these are indeed individuals who are going through mental illness, who are indeed individuals going through sufferings from the side of government, and therefore they should not be protagonists, I struggle to see the correlation as to how, given that these individuals who are going through mental illness, and therefore we need to stop them being a protagonist, how does it essentially solve anything at a point in time where we stop giving them where we stop giving the spotlight to these protagonist characters who are antisocial and self-destructive? So that's number one. But number two, there are also concerns that was raised up from opposition, like things, for example, if it's true that these people are going through mental illness, like how does it necessarily solve the problem? Because ultimately, society or people generally also needs to accept these individuals, and there should be more discussion in regards to how mental illness, although I do agree to a certain extent there were solutions being posited by side government, but I feel like most of the solutions are exclusive only to you guys. Like for example, aren't you like exclusive only to you guys? Like those solutions can also exist from the side of opposition. So at that point in time, if it is a justification of mental illness as a reason as to why we should not have protagonists, that to include antisocial characters or destructive characters, I struggle to see as to how suddenly when people perceive these kind of movies, they would ultimately be dealt the same harm or be dealt the same mental illness for the people, considering that mental illness is not necessarily a a thing where people just get it naturally. Like people stem through it for a lot of reasons, from their environmental factors, their trauma, or sometimes it can also be hereditary. It can also be from various of reasons. So if the assertion is that we need to, it is a larger harm for us to allow a protagonist main character that includes these kinds of personality or these kinds of features, there need to be a lot more legwork in terms of explaining why there is a justification as to why you regret this kind of scenario. So that's the first thing in terms of in regards to the mental illness thing. I think the second part of this debate, and what's really important, is really crucial, is that this debate is not only centered around the discussion of how do we treat mental illness. I think moving forward, when you have motions that specifically includes examples, like for example, because this motion includes like various examples like BoJack Horseman, Madman, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, things like that. Like use those examples to your advantage, right? Because this is a pop culture round, so you need to know like how are these characters being portrayed in movies, how are these characters being portrayed within everyday drama series or things like that. I think it would help a lot in terms of explaining from government side how people often construe people, like society who lives like in different um, like in the different spectrum. Like for example, you suffer from ADHD or you suffer from autism, and there's a whole lot of stigma and connotation that is attached to it, and how it is fueled by social media, how it is fueled by drama series. Because if you look at how it is being portrayed in Mad Men, people with autism, people with ADHD, it's not the accurate portrayal of these people. So perhaps a more like strategic approach, aside from going through like these people are going mentally ill, and would that and would it would be better to give them help and all do things like that. This debate is largely about the perception of these kinds of movies and how society perceives it. And that's why I think like most of the arguments that were given by opposition were largely more towards the spirit of the motion, because although they did touch a little bit about the mental illness part, but they also touch a lot in terms of how it affects society as well. So I feel like at that point in time, there needs to be a little bit more comeback from government to explain why necessarily that a protagonist having these kinds of features would be like devastatingly harmful to the society. So my advice going to the next round is that I think most of the things that you guys were saying were already correct things in terms of having the correct ideas. But moving forward, what's really important is that have a clear end goal of what you're trying to solve, as opposed to just debating for the sake of debating. Now, what I mean by this is that, okay, I'm just going to say a few stuff, perhaps have two or three arguments, and I'm done for the day. When you receive a motion, just ask yourself, what is this even about? What is it that I'm required to solve? How am I required to solve it? And just move on from there. So yeah, so that's my OA. If you have any personal feedback, you can definitely ask me questions on Zoom. Other than that, please enjoy your lunch and good luck for your next round. Thank you so much for the debate.
I'm sorry, educated. Is it pass or reject?
Sorry,
Is it pass or reject?
I can't hear you that well. Sorry.
Is it pass or reject?
Oh, we gave it to opposition, so it's
It's
rejected.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. With that verdict, the motion, this House regrets the trend of placing self-destructive or antisocial characters as protagonists in media is rejected. Thank you to the adjudicators. Now the participants may move to the main room for further instruction regarding the next round. Thank you to everyone for joining the session.